Welcome to Week 3, Lesson 3, Why Did God Make Us? This week, our glory lessons are having their virtual meetings, while our praise groups will be doing their at-home lessons. I'd encourage anyone who's doing the at-home lesson to take a look at the mini tasks and the various prayers and challenges which occur throughout our series. They're great ways to put our faith into action week after week. While you're doing your reading this week, you'll learn that God is love, and that as His creation, we are made from God's love. We're made in God's image and likeness, and therefore we're called to be love to one another. We're called to share in God's goodness and to have faith. Faith is extremely important because it leads to trust. And trusting in God is a great challenge for all of us. However, sometimes we get so excited and so worried over things that are going on in our lives that we forget to pray to God. We forget to trust in what God has given us through strength and hope and love. And so there are times when we needlessly worry when the situations are out of our hands. Perhaps what we need to consider a little more is putting our faith and our situations in God's hands. With each grade, we build a little bit on this concept. God made us to share in His life and love and live together in happiness. This is what we learn in grade 1. In grade 2, we learn that God is our creator. So not only are we good, but everything that God has created here in our natural world is also good. And that our faith should be like the greatest, strongest tree with the deepest roots, one that's solid in the ground, or like the most steadfast rock, solid and not moving. And that we should see God in those places, and that in those creations, our faith should be strengthened. If you're not near a tree or a rock, maybe this weekend or next weekend you're planning on going to the pumpkin farm. That's another great place to see God's creation and all that is good. Not only in the creation of the pumpkins and the smiles that they bring to everyone, but in the families who gather there, the time they spend with one another, and the time that we spend in our community. I think as a community here in Montville, we're blessed to have Conklin Farm. It's a place that's become a strong part of our community's tradition, and that there are many people who travel from long ways to come and visit. That should tell us that that farm is a gift from God to all of us that we should celebrate. In 3rd grade, we find out that we're called to live in God's friendship, to be kind to one another, and to grow close to God as best we can. We do that, as we learn in 4th grade, through the practice of our faith. That can be by attending Mass, that can be by doing good for others. Certainly, it can be through all of the participation in sacraments. So it's something to consider, whether you're at home or you're coming to Mass in person, that by being present there, we're living in the friendship of God. In 5th grade, we learn that sharing in God's love, it can be done by taking care of ourselves, both our bodies and our souls. And that means our minds as well. And then as we get into middle school, we learn about the Blessed Trinity and how God the Father sent us, God the Son, to learn more about our faith and that trust in God the Father. And then also we learn about the Holy Spirit. And that lesson connects us directly to our confirmation students, who by now should have considered their sponsor's name, perhaps even made a phone call and asked someone to be a sponsor. And they also should have done some research on a confirmation name. Remember, you can Google saints' names and read about the saints' stories in order to gain some inspiration. My confirmation name was Damien. Father Damien went out to help the lepers and to help the sick while he spent time in the islands. And I found his story rather inspiring when I was in high school. And so I chose that name, Damien, as my confirmation name. I look forward to seeing which names all of you will choose when you hand in those yellow cards with your sponsor's name and your confirmation name on them. I hope you do that soon. I also hope for our confirmation students that you're considering various service experiences, that you've contacted Ante. We do have the crop walk coming up in October, and he is running several other service experiences. We had to postpone the planting of the Marian Garden due to a funeral that was going on in church last Saturday morning and due to our First Holy Communions. So keep an eye out for new information from Ante for those of you who had signed up for that event. Finally, I want to say thank you to all of our catechists, all of our parents, and all of our young people who have made the past 3 weeks of September a huge success in the way of getting our sacraments done. We've had 6 masses for First Holy Communions. We've had 3 reconciliation services for all of our second graders, well, third graders now. And by the time Sunday night hits at 8 o'clock, we'll have also had 9 confirmation masses, with a few more coming in November. This has taken a tremendous amount of work and cooperation, and most of all, prayer. So I want to say thank you publicly to Father Mark, to Father Martin, to Deacon Frank for all of their hard work and all of their prayer and all that they've done to make these sacraments such a pleasure, so personal for our second graders and our 9th and 10th graders. I'd also like to say thank you to Mr. Carroll and Mrs. Carroll for doing everything they could to work on our technology, our programs, our certificates, and then of course to all of our catechists for the many, many years that they've given to all of our young people, for sharing their faith, for laughing together, for crying when the tough times have happened, but most of all, for enveloping all of them in prayer. I thank you all. I hope you have a great week. God bless, and I'll see you next week.